Roxy, it's your birthday. Not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Chris Mahana Kwanzaa to you.
All the stuff.
All the stuff.
All the stuff.
Welcome to another episode of Moana Nui After Dark presents THIStory, the hidden history. And this is our December holiday edition. Now, I will say we did say this is Moana Nui After Dark. We are going to be saying some things today. May not be your cup of tea. That is fine with us. We will shy away from some things that we don't know enough about to roast. So you will not be hearing about some of the things in that Chris Mahana Kwanzaa, specifically the Hana part. We're not talking about Hanukkah because that is not our culture, right? However, Christmas and Kwanzaa is. Yeah. And so you'll see that our lovely spokesmodel, James, has...
I don't think you used lovely appropriately there.
Over here pulling his best Kente Jones look over here. The dashiki is nice. It reminds me of the character that Chris Rock used to play on Saturday Night Live. You know what I'm talking about.
So quick small backstory about this one. I've had this dashiki almost 20 years now.
Wow.
Got it actually from Shopping Little 5 Points for a 70s themed birthday party because the guest of honor was turning 40 at the time. So
wow. Okay.
Been in my closet ever since. I've worn it on occasion. I think the last time I wore this was when the first Black Panther movie came out.
Nice.
Because you know how we were showing out then.
Yeah, we kind of forever that night. Yeah.
Everybody want to be black.
We were blackety black. Not only that, people were showing up to the movie theater, renting out theaters, catering in food, dressed to the nines, coming in with their own little what's the other fictitious place? Zamunda. Come to America.
Come to America, yes.
God. Yeah, it was a mess. We loved it. But tonight we're talking about Christmas and Kwanzaa.
Mm-hmm.
And as Blurred, hey Mark, as Mark says from Blurredography, happy Blackmas.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about, you know what? I'm going to start off talking about what Christmas is right now in the United States. I could also say in Great Britain and to some extent in other colonized industrial capitalist areas. But in the United States, Christmas is a money grab. And I did not stutter. What do we do other than overconsume food, fly around the places trying to visit family? Yeah, it's nice to see family, but we do it all at once, right? We buy gifts for each other. And there's such a reciprocity in gift giving that if I give you a $50 gift, I expect a $50 gift back. The problem is I could have just gave you $50 and then you gave me $50 and we could just say we love you and leave it at that. But I spent $50 on a gift that it costs $3 to make, right? And now the corporations and all of them have the real money. And you have something that on MSRP is worth $50, but it's worth $3, right? Oh yeah, Jesus is like a Capricorn though. Like he wasn't even born.
He was not born in winter.
And he like a Libra. Like Jesus was born like the sheep was still out in the fields when he was born. That had to put him in summer, late or early
late
fall.
Summer, early fall. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's when because based on the story of the shepherds gathering their flocks, you're gathering your flock before the winter comes.
Exactly.
So that out there.
Exactly. So, and that brings me to my next point. Well, let's finish talking about what Christmas is right now. It is, what did he say? Toy commercial.
Yes.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Jesus. Buy some toys. They start advertising for Christmas and sales and stuff immediately. By the time your Thanksgiving dinner has settled, there's Christmas stuff up. And that's another part of consumerism, the Christmas lights and the trees and decorations. And then even the push, because like it used to be, I know I grew up with this plastic tree that had like color coded pine sticks that you would stick in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
That was a part of getting it together, was to get all of the things. It was like a game for the kids, match
Mm-hmm.
blue to blue and so on and so forth. And then they had this push towards real pine trees.
Yep.
Now, you can say that was to have a more natural feel, et cetera, et cetera. But one, you're killing fields of pine trees that are just going to sit in a little tub of water until New Year's Day and then get thrown out. And now we got landfills full of what?
Some people let their trees stay up till March.
So even if they do, the point is the trees were cut down when they could have been living their best life out in the forest where they want to be. But it was also consumerism, because you had to buy trees, you had to employ people at those archeries or whatever. All of that, yes, F them trees, all of that had to go into it, when you could have just had your little plastic tree that you put the little rods in and put some tinsel on it and be done with it. But that also added to the consumerism. Buying kids toys. Santa's Christmas list, right? First off, your kids don't deserve all that. What have they done this year, really? What, went to school every day? You dropped them off at school. They had to go, right?
We'll get to the Krampus later.
They managed not to bite nobody this year. They deserve a bite for that, right? This year. And then like the shameless advertising of toys to kids, even before Thanksgiving,
I mean, toys are cool.
Toys are cool, but it's pressure on every family, because we've all bought into this in society that Christmas is for the children and you don't want to upset them, you don't want to disappoint them on Christmas. You know what you could give them? You could give them fresh fruit. Got you a banana and a mango. Look at that. Merry Christmas. But that also goes into keeping up with the Joneses, right? Well, Timmy's mom got him an iPhone, and you can't even afford a B phone, but you're giving him an iPhone so he doesn't get embarrassed for his friends. All of this is consumerism, and it's a mess.
Because the desire from middle school through the end of high school to see who got what and whose Christmas was better than the others up until you graduate high school was real serious-ish all the way up through the mid-90s.
Yeah, you're right. Christmas isn't Christmas with a dead pine tree in my living room decorated with lights while I listen to all the Black Christmas classics. Yeah. I saw that earlier today. There was a lady said that her daughter kept asking for In My Mind. And she was like, "You mean Silent Night?" She goes, "Yeah, in my mind."
Yes.
That's how the song goes, right?
Yes, it is.
Hilarious. But yeah, my dad used to have a CD of Black Christmas music that even now, if I hear one of those songs while I'm out and about, I expect the next song on my dad's CD to play next, right? Yes. Like if I hear Otis Redding's Merry Christmas Baby, it's got to be Silent Night after that, because that's how the CD was burned, right? But blackness aside, we do way too much spending, especially in today's economy. Who got money to be buying kids all these toys? Want to get them sit and spin, or Barbie hairdresser kit or something, and call it a day. Get them some yarn and a crochet needle and make their own clothes.
I am happy my nephew is into animals still at this point at his young age, as opposed to me at his age, where I was into everything robots and science fiction. So I know we are not the same. A stuffed animal that is something that he doesn't have, that is either out there in the wilderness or lives in a zoo, he good.
I was an easy kid, but my parents didn't want me to be easy. Like, they were like, "What do you want for Christmas?" Money. From as far back as I can remember, just give me money. Because I didn't know what I wanted, but money always made things easier. I could go to the movies on money. Yep. I don't need this heartfelt, long-lasting gift that I'm always going to remember came from my mother. Give me $20. You know how many times I could go to the movies in 1988 for $20?
Oh, at least 4 times. At least 4 or 5 times.
Exactly. Or give me money and I'll put it towards something I want, and I'll decide that later. I remember my mom would give me money. She would demand, present what you bought with the money. Yes. And I'm like, I bought a good time because I went to the mall and hung out.
Receipts, because I wanted to make sure that you out there without adult supervision didn't do anything nefarious.
Exactly. And honestly, you get more bang for your buck giving people money because they can do exactly what they want with it. You haven't overbought anything from imperialism and capitalism, and they can catch some sales whenever they want to, right?
It got to a point to where nearing the end of college and my first couple of years out of college, friends who were still giving me gifts will always get me something I already had. And me trying to feign like surprise and appreciation for something like, I already have this. And if you see it through this, like I'm smiling because thank you, but I have this comic book or this Funko Pop or this video game that I do appreciate you that you thought of me enough to buy this, but
I will never forget. And this was a birthday party when I was in like elementary school or maybe 6th or 7th grade, maybe 6th grade. And there was this toy for girls called fashion plates. And all it was these little blocks of things that you could like lay down and like trace it with pink crayon or blue crayon and make these little fashion like outfits. Mind you, I'm not into fashion now, but my sister liked it. And we like to color the girls in brown, right? Because naturally. And we lost that brown pencil once. And then this girl came to my birthday party and she was bragging about how she found something that nobody else had. And it was going to be the best gift ever. And it was something I'd never seen before in my life. And I'm excited to open it. And when I opened it, I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is great. Kim, now we got the brown again. And I didn't realize that I had insulted her by saying, you know, not only is this not special, I already have it. But I was genuinely happy to have the brown again, you know.
Right.
I've thought about that from time to time over the years. Like I was an evil child. You want art supplies for Blackness.
Yeah.
If somebody gives you money, you can buy the art supplies exactly as you want them, right?
Because I don't know what art supplies you want or need.
Exactly. Because you will get, you know, chalk from me and you will be thankful. But so American consumerism has taken over every holiday. Every holiday we have is just an excuse to overeat and buy a lot of stuff you don't need. And if we got out of that, we could absolutely upend the economy. Just don't buy nothing for Christmas. Sit around with your family and tell them you love them. Tell Christmas stories or whatever, or entertain each other. Go play football or something outside. Do something other than exchange gifts that you don't want and then try to figure out how you can pack this in your suitcase to go home. Right? You can save yourself a lot of time and money.
Absolutely. As I told my family last year, y'all present is me flying up here.
I told my sister the same thing. That's how I got out of going home one time. She wanted a refrigerator. You do understand that me and the refrigerator cannot show up at the same time.
Right.
So you get this fridge or you get me to come home. And she picked the fridge. I was like, I'm good with that because I didn't want to come home no way. Yeah. Excuse to get into massive amounts of debt. Everybody charging things in their credit card that they can't afford because America doesn't understand money. The average American sees a credit card as something they can pay off later, not recognizing that the moment you start accruing monthly interest, compounded monthly, by the way, something that you pay $50 for because you couldn't afford it at the time, you're going to end up paying $75 for it, give or take, you know, unless you could pay it off before the end of the month. Otherwise, it's going to eat you up. It's about as bad as student loans. Now, let's talk about Christmas.
Another story.
Yeah, we're not going to get into student loans.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. I wanted to kind of debunk this widely accepted myth that Christmas has anything to do with Jesus Christ, because it doesn't. It is an old pagan holiday. First off, let me remind you that pagan is not a people. It is not a culture. Pagan is the generic word for
anything not Catholic.
Offshoot cult. Yes.
Roman Catholic specifically.
Roman Catholic specifically. Yeah. There anything that is not a very widely practiced religion is pagan in that region. Christians were pagans once upon a time because they were an upstart culty kind of religion that nobody really knew about. And when the Romans decided they wanted to rock with Christmas and force everybody into Christianity, they Frankensteined Christmas and Easter together to match the holidays that were already happening. And so to give you a brief review of that, let's go to our favorite author, Aaron Magruder, and his show Boondocks, where Huey breaks down Christmas for you, because this is all true.
Granddad, it's clear from the scripture that Jesus was not born in winter. The shepherds who saw the angels announcing his birth would not have been out in their fields in December. The Palestinian winters are too cold, if you believe in that sort of thing. The truth is, Christmas evolved from the Roman holiday Saturnalia, a winter festival where men gave gifts to each other. They also would get drunk, have sex with each other, and beat their wives. People would act so crazy on Christmas, the holiday was outlawed by the Protestant Church until the 1800s. As a matter of fact, the United States Congress...
Yeah, and that's pretty much where it goes off the rails.
Right. Like Granddad said, all I heard was
Granddad
blah,
has officially
blah,
tuned him
sex,
out. Right.
blah, blah, Congress. But he's right. One of the reasons that we have separation of church and state is because a lot of the Protestants thought that specifically Christmas had no place in their uptight mindset. You know, the problem with a lot of the Protestants that came over on the Mayflower, or whatever you want to call it, is that they weren't escaping religious persecution. They were escaping people who hated on them for their religious persecution. They were persecuting others. The prudes came to the United States, and that rocks with us to this day. The reason, you know what, we're going to do a whole different show about why they call it missionary position. But yeah, the reason that we have so much sexual repression in this country is because of our, not necessarily the founding fathers, but definitely the original people that came here from Europe, trying to not escape persecution, but find somewhere where they could freely exercise their very strict, narrow, and oppressive version of Christianity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mind you, they all have a mistress on the side.
So funny thing about that, mistresses or women of the night, soiled doves, whatever you want to call them, were sought after and had a lot more freedom. You were much more free as a woman if you were a mistress or a kept woman or soiled dove, or even worked in a saloon. You could come and go as you please. All you had to do was be ready to get it later on at night and got paid for it. A wife, on the other hand, had to be strictly, you know, butter doesn't melt in her mouth, virgin when she got married, sometimes never step outside the home again. And
Stepford.
Yeah, Stepford wives, you got to be perfect in every little way. And you were a trophy for your husband to show off on his arm around high society. But when it came to sex, you were supposed to lay there and pray for conception while your husband, what they say, worked over you, right? He was supposed to, you know, get his and get off, and you were supposed to lay there with your legs closed and make sure that you conceived the son, the heir, all so on and so forth. Meanwhile, the mistress is over here getting it in all kind of ways and having a good time. And the husbands like the mistresses better because sex is more fun with them. And so housewives were the only ones missing out on all the fun. And again, one day we'll get into not only missionary position, but if you think about it, they were missionaries going into native lands, going into the continent of Africa, spreading Christianity, but also forcing sex on the women of these native and indigenous tribes in a particular position. And that was the position that the missionaries favored, and hence the name.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got away from Christmas. Let's get back to Christmas, because it's not better. And so, like you said, yes, Saturnalia was the original holiday that was happening. It happened in Rome. It was a week-long festival, and it was honoring the god Saturn. And it was gift giving and role reversals. The master became the slave became the master, something you never saw in the United States, right? When we talk about slavery being different everywhere else, we mean it. Everywhere except North and South America during the transatlantic slave trade. That was just some dehumanizing, terroristic, wholly ridiculous shit. But it happened mid-December. It was a winter solstice festival. Then you had Sol Invictus. Now, this was about, we'll call it 300 years later, 300 years after what we consider to be the death of Jesus Christ, where they've celebrated the unconquered sun specifically on December 25th. Because December 25th, again, winter solstice, marked the return of daylight lasting longer. The unconquered sun. Christians took the unconquered S-U-N and turned it into the unconquered S-O-N. And so now this is all about Jesus, and he was the chosen one, and blah, 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 blah. The wise men who never would have been on that field, they just shifted the entire story to fit so that Christians would, people would adopt Christianity.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so
the pagan, some of the festivus natures of Saturnalia tended to get way out of control for the Roman Catholic Church to abide by.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so let's talk about Lent.
So 40 days and 40 nights.
40 days and 40 nights of abstaining from happiness, joy, and red meat and everything else. Just, show God how contrite you are by stopping something that a bad habit or something that you love. It originally was supposed to be giving up something essential to yourself. Mm-hmm. And it was closer to, I want to say Ramadan, but I don't quote me on that, but closer not eating after a certain time, not eating red meat, a lot of like liquids and soups and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, fasting, seafood, fish only.
Supposedly to mirror the 40 days that Jesus spent wandering the desert.
Exactly. Thank you. But they started off with Fat Tuesday. And they started off with Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday because Carnival been going on. And you wasn't going to stop them South Americans from doing Carnival, right? And nobody in between. You got Caravana up in Toronto. You got a lot of Carnival and Bacchanalia festivals, etc., all through the Caribbean islands. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you got Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday in Louisiana. All of this is the same spring renewal rejuvenation festival, and it's buck wild. But what they did was incorporate it into Easter. So now Mardi Gras, Lent, Easter is all a thing to make it all seem quasi-Christian, right? Because if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to co-opt the celebrations to temper down the rampant debauchery.
Yes. Now, another thing that I wonder about. Nice way of saying it was banging in the streets. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a reason they lift up the show me your tits, all that kind of stuff, because that's what they be doing. Right. And how hypocritical is it for you to be all out there like, yeah, on Tuesday and then Wednesday? Oh,
Ash Wednesday.
Yeah. So ashes from the weed you smoke. After dark.
Oh, man. If you weren't already a bad influence.
Say what? I'm a bad influence?
What?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I think not. I think not.
I mean, I already know I'm a bad influence, but
okay, as long as you know you are too. And they left us alone tonight. It's just me and you. So nobody to stop us from saying whatever we want to say. Okay.
I've told plenty of people I do not want to be a role model.
One other thing that I want to bring light to, and I love that in the last, say, decade or so, we've seen more movies about like Krampus and all the other like dark things that came out of the Nordic states and whatnot. But Yule Tide, the Yule log, all of that is Germanic, Norse god, Loki and them type of stuff. So again, it was the winter solstice, which was the shortest day of the year, and they would light bonfires. And the Yule log was a gigantic piece of wood that would burn the entire like week-long thing. They would decorate their homes with mistletoe, holly, ivy, the same things we do now. The whole green and red motif is very much Norse Germanic, right? Mm-hmm. And it was symbolizing life in the midst of the dead of winter, right? Because now that we've gone through the shortest day, we made it, basically. We made it through the winter. Things are going to get better from here on out. Let's start remembering that things are going to be green and bloom again, so on and so forth. But I remember hearing Run DMC, in the fireplace is the Yule log beneath the mistletoe as we drink eggnog. Ain't nothing that got jack to do with Jesus Christ.
Christmas of Hollis is still a banger.
It's still a banger. Right. So the church strategically, let's review. The church strategically placed Jesus' birth celebration on December 25th. So all of these little pagan things, Yule, Sol Invictus, Saturnalia, all were like, oh, we can still do this, which is why Christianity has been hypocritical from like jump. Right.
Day one.
Remember, Jesus was not a Christian.
He was a Jew.
Jesus was Jewish. Christians was like, oh, it's the first cultural appropriation, right? They took a ostensibly very Arabic looking, potentially brown skinned man, painted him with long straight hair. He may have had straight hair if he was Arabic. We don't know, but he ain't blonde and blue.
No,
he ain't
not.
brown and blue neither, but the Jesus that most people see when we talk about quote unquote white Jesus is Roman.
Italian.
Same.
It's an Italian dude.
Where is Rome? Italy. But he's Italian.
Yes.
Very likely Michelangelo's homeboy. But
probably.
Like even the great painting, the fresco that Michelangelo did in the Sistine Chapel, where God is like reaching down and like Adam can't be bothered to lift his finger even a little bit. That whole thing, the picture there of God is Zeus, right? The whole thing is a lie. All of it. The Bible is picked and chosen for what's in it. And y'all need to know this. I mean, if you're going to continue to throw money at this idea of Jesus being born at the wrong time, you can absolutely be a good Christian. You can be devout in your faith, but recognize that Christmas as a holiday is some BS, right? And celebrate with your family. You don't have to buy into this capitalist consumerist thing,
But I'm slide out the way because someone wants to see. We will get to Kwanzaa shortly.
Mm-hmm. But I'm not done ragging on Christmas first.
Christmas yet? Yes.
Yeah. So just a few of the things that are pagan: mistletoe, holly, like I said, Christmas trees because they were evergreens. So again, that Nordic Yuletide thing. None of this was around. There's nothing in the nativity scene about holly, mistletoe, Christmas trees, wreaths, Yule logs, any of that stuff.
Nope. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, 3 wise men, frankincense, myrrh.
Jesus was an immigrant, undocumented at that. I'm just saying.
Gold, frankincense, and myrrh, yeah. And then was a goat brought as tribute as well? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Something else. Sheep's, goats. That's the nativity scene. So all that happened, just not in the winter.
So I was trying to look up. Okay, here it is. Here's some of the other things that are pagan. So gift giving, of course, like Huey said, Saturnalia, giving gifts and getting it on with your homeboys is where that comes from. The image of Santa Claus. So you know who created the ho 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 fluffy white Santa Claus that we know right now with the red fur and all of that? You know who created that?
Somebody in America, some white dude.
Coca-Cola.
Stop.
Mm-hmm. They created the image of the jolly red-cheeked white beard, ho ho, all of that. But now the pagans did the whole gift giving thing, but Coca-Cola created the Santa Claus we know in the red fur and the black boots and all of that in like 1930 something.
Wow.
During the Great Depression, as a way of getting people to, because remember in the 1930s, Coca-Cola was heavy on the coca.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But Father Christmas, or Saint Nicholas, was the patron saint of children, the poor, and prostitutes.
It's an interesting trifecta.
Yeah, similar to Jesus being a defender of the poor, the destitute, the hungry, and prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, here we are in the United States trying to ban abortion, criminalize homelessness, and detain children in cages. But then want to talk about we're a Christian nation. Everybody's going to hell. Yeah, we're all going. Mm-hmm. But the original Saint Nicholas was shaped off of, wait for it, Odin. Odin was portrayed as an old man with a white beard, an 8-legged horse called Sleipnir, which would ride through the skies, similar to the 8 reindeer that Santa Claus has. Just a little switch up, right? during the winter,
The
kids would
horse
come
makes
by and they would fill socks on the mantelpiece. They were usually boots or something. They would fill it with like carrots and straw, whatever, for the reindeer. Yeah. Now it has gone into being, you know, toys in the stockings and the cookies and the milk for Santa Claus. The reindeer don't get jack, which is messed up in my opinion.
No, never has been.
Yeah.
Everything is co-opted. America is a co-op.
America is one big snatch of cultural appropriation.
Yes.
That's all we do is I think I can't remember his name, but he was one of the writers on the Chappelle Show, the white guy that used to write with Dave Chappelle. And he said the one thing that white people can do is credit. They can take credit for stuff that they never created.
Gary, I think.
Is it Gary?
Or Steve? Is either Gary or Steve?
It's not. It's not, but we all know who we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Manifest Destiny, my tale. Right. Now, where was I going with that? So we had the Christmas carols.
Neil. Sorry.
Say what?
Neil.
That's right.
Neil Brennan. That's his name.
So Christmas carols come from the Anglo-Saxon door-to-door singing that they would do again when you were coming to offer good health. It's almost like housewarming, because housewarming literally is what you did. You came in and you warmed up somebody's house by all these people being in there, and all that body heat warm the house, and then you move on to somebody else's. So the Christmas carols has nothing to do. Kissing under the mistletoe is something we made up, right? Again, the Romans, the Celts, the Druids, the Norse, all of them considered a highly sacred plant. And we've turned it into something to just kind of mess around and kiss under. But again, it comes from, it actually was a medicinal plant.
Yes.
Same thing with holly, right? And even decorating a Christmas tree, all of this was supposed to, you know, the snowflakes and the balls and everything was supposed to, again, symbolize festivities and good times. Let's have a party. None of this with the almost austere, sad way that early Puritans wanted to celebrate, or even acknowledge, because I won't even say celebrate, acknowledge the birth of their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And then all these parties came, which is why originally Congress was like, we don't celebrate Christmas because we hate it. And then, you know, slowly but surely, money over everything. They may say what they want to say, but when we started tying gift giving and money and consumerism to it, oh, we're doing Christmas, right?
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Speaking about this, the youngins, we'll call them youngins. Okay, so don't judge me before you know the whole story. I was in Target.
You saw this recently.
I was in Target because the CVS that I get my medicine from is in Target. And while I was in there getting my medicine from the CVS, these maybe 20 or 25 young dudes, young black men come in. They all got on like green and black Christmas robes. Some of them even looking like Demon Slayer, but it was just a coincidence. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Because they all walked into like pajamas and Christmas robes. Oh, we're still boycotting Target. I told you I was in there because my medicine is at the CVS, and the CVS is in Target.
Pay attention.
I wasn't just in Target to be there. I had to go through it to get to the CVS. But so as I'm walking out, I'm seeing these dudes come in. I'm like, what is happening? And they're like, oh, we're about to do Christmas carols. Okay. And my first thought was, this is a publicity stunt from Target trying to have these young black kids singing Christmas carols. But then they opened their mouth and I was so offended with what I heard. I can't say it all, but they did drop some N-words. It was super ratchet. And the last thing I heard when I was like, I gotta go because I want to make sure I'm not on camera with any of these people taking video around here, was put that pussy on me.
I don't recall that being in any Christmas song.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. They
So,
just took the whole ratchet Christmas Carol thing to the nth degree.
right.
Because I mean,
To the-
because I remember first hearing ratchet Christmas songs. What was it? The 12 Days of Christmas. I forgot, was the Quad City DJ song.
Yes, that was the jam. 5 fresh
Month.
gold chains. That was the jam, but it was wholesome compared to this nonsense. I don't even know what they were talking. Raw, yes, it was crazy. I was offended. I was like, who greenlit this? You know, it just goes to show that they still tone deaf. I would not have let them in if they had told me what they were going. Because I was expecting to hear like, you know, Morehouse Glee Club or something, and then instead I got put that coochie on me. Yeah. It was 5 months free rent for that one when that girl did her part. Yeah. $10 million. 5 months free rent.
You can still find the video on YouTube, by the way.
Say what?
You can still find the video on YouTube.
I know. Was it the one when they did it on like Ricky Lake Show or something like that?
It was not Maury Povich. I said Maury Povich earlier. It was Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. I knew it was a talk show. Yeah, I might have to post that against my better judgment. So I think we have gotten everybody to understand that Christmas is some nonsense. It is all just Jerry Springer. It was all just an amalgamation of different solstice winter celebrations that they decided to slap, you know, Christmas across the top of it so that people would convert to Christianity, because they wouldn't convert if they had to give up their fun. And I think that's what's wrong with Christianity right now is people are like, I can do it. I can still do all this nonsense I was doing, but call myself a Christian. And I'm not saying that we have to be super Puritan, because the Puritans, again, weren't pure anyway. They just wanted to control women at the end of the day. But yeah, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. So now we move into
one last thing.
Yes.
Because you mentioned the reversal of in Saturnalia, the reversal of the masters and the slaves.
Yeah.
They also had this thing called, this is where king for a day comes from. Because one of the commoners or slave was chosen as king for a day. And they got to make all the proclamations and rules in which the people celebrating Saturnalia had to follow. Commoner, slave, rich, master alike. Everybody had to follow, whoever was selected.
That sounds like a purge. That's what it'd have been if they had picked me, right? All debts are canceled.
Pretty much. Don't give me that power. No more student loans.
No more student loans.
Everybody's student loan is 0.
There may have been stipulations, so they may not have picked a slave to be king for a day, because a poor white person was not going to free. As a matter of fact, I say that like there weren't indentured servants that were the same color.
Same thing, right?
Before, because all of this was started way before the transatlantic slave trade.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
and you still had people of different ethnic backgrounds in different places in much smaller numbers, and they were treated differently. You know? But
like you said earlier, slavery there was not slavery here.
Slaves had. I'm not trying to romanticize. I'm not trying to say
no way. But it was more indentured servitude.
But it was more like indentured servitude. You could buy your freedom. There was endpoints. The family units were kept together. They didn't separate mothers from children and fathers from wives and stuff and sell them off in different places. It was just a slave class, so to speak, similar to, I guess you would think, like the Untouchables in India. You know, and I mean, that's a very, very broad and general comparison. It's not the same thing at all. Well, not nearly. But yeah, slavery in the United States was completely turning a blind eye to the dehumanization of millions of people for a buck, because they knew it was wrong. You know, people are like, oh, that's just how it was back then. No, it wasn't. It's not how it was at all. They just decided to do that because they needed the money, and then they wanted the money, and then they wouldn't give up the money in that order.
No, they did not.
Meanwhile, Black people, let's talk about Kwanzaa. Yay! So
put this up.
This is how you light so I'll tell you what, first off, it's the Kinara, which is similar to, well, it's a candelabra, we could put it that way. But you're lighting all of these. You see, you start in the middle, then go from the right or from the left to the right, and then all the way across. So 1 in the middle, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's go through these. The does that say? Did that say Ujoma? Am I reading that wrong? Put it up again. Yeah, Umoja. Okay, my dyslexia got me for a second. So
you switched the J and the M.
I did. So Umoja is going to be your starting principle. First off, let's talk about where we got this from. So
Kwanzaa was created in 1966.
Created in 1966 in order to give African Americans a sense of community and connection with their African heritage. So it was something for African Americans and all like diasporic Africans to celebrate. And it's not a religious holiday. It is more of a family community festival or celebration. Yeah. So it was created, like you said, in 66 by Dr. Moana Karenga. He was a professor and activist in the United States. It was founded in the aftermath of the Watts Rebellion in Los Angeles. So if you understand what the Watts Rebellion was, it's the same thing we rebel against nowadays, police brutality. It's similar to what birthed the idea of the Black Panthers, right? Was this idea of we're tired of getting beat up and harassed for no reason, and so we're going to rebel. And so people see the Watts Rebellion as just Black people being violent, but what drove them to that? You have to understand that. And so this was a response to that of we need to have our own culture. We need to have our own. Yeah, we need to have our own.
We're fully aware of that.
And so I want to say the name Kwanzaa is from a Swahili phrase, matunda ya kwanza, which means first fruits. The extra A, because Kwanzaa just is Kwanza, but they added the extra A to accommodate the 7 children at the first celebration who each wanted a letter, apparently. So, do what you got to do for the kids. But again, it's a harvest, first fruits, winter solstice type of celebration because it happens on December 26th, the day after the Western world celebrates Christmas. But it's a week long from December 26th to January 1st, which is usually when most people have time off from work. So, you can celebrate Kwanzaa the whole time, but you start with Umoja, which means unity, right? That's the first candle that's lit. And then the next candle is Kujichagulia, in case you were wondering how to say that, which is self-determination. Again, we're talking about building community, right? First unity, we come together, self-determination. We decide who we are, what we do, how we're going to be called, what our purpose is, right? Then Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. Here's your coalitions, right? Here's your communes. Here's your Black-owned businesses, right? Which leads to Ujama, cooperative economics. This is keeping the Black dollars in the Black families. Right. It's the same thing we're doing with this boycott of Target and with trying to buy Black, buy up the blocks, all that kind of stuff, is to not be the source of revenue for everyone else, but be a source of wealth for ourselves, right? Next is Nia, which is purpose. Again, why are you here? What are you doing? And understanding your connection to the larger entity. The idea of rugged individualism kills society because nobody looks out for anybody else. And so recognizing combination of cooperative economics, collective work and responsibility, and purpose leads to a building up of society from within instead of tearing it down by separating and isolating everybody. After purpose, you have Kuumba, which is creativity. And then after that, the last one is Imani, which means faith. And so you go from unity to self-determination, collective work and responsibility, Ujama, cooperative economics, Nia is purpose, Kuumba is creativity, and then Imani is faith. And this is actually celebrated worldwide, right? From a lot of diasporic African ancestry populations, right? And if you want to know more about Kwanzaa beyond just the candle and lighting and like the ceremonies that are happening every night, et cetera, how families celebrate it as a unit, go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture before they tear it down because Trump be on some nonsense. But their website has a lot on Kwanzaa, and it should be on their front page this time of year. All right. Okay. We could, so are we celebrating that? Yes. Okay.
And I don't know if you saw this one from earlier.
I didn't, because I was reading on another page. So yeah, for the record, no one in Africa celebrates Kwanzaa, and I didn't say that. I said diasporic people around the world. So listening is fundamental. But the question, what did our ancestors celebrate this time of year before 1619? They celebrated whatever they wanted to in their respective countries because they weren't here, right? And so they already had unity and purpose and self-determination, and more than likely did celebrate some sort of winter solstice, as a lot of people do, because winter happens all over the place, right? Maybe slightly different times depending on geography and equator and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they just celebrating whatever, you know. But then the need for a reminder of your connection back to the motherland sparked this desire. There's a lot of Pan-Africanism and return to roots that happened when we started to really come to grips with the fact that we were never really going to belong here.
Right.
It's similar to, like, you hear a lot of mixed kids talk about this. I didn't belong in one, I didn't belong in the other. A lot of ethno-Americans feel the same way. You know, if you are Asian American, Latin American, African American, because American is white. Even Native American has a modifier, even though they were here first.
Yes.
You're made to feel other, because when you hear American, you think white. Even Black people do. Everybody does, right? But trying to connect to something beyond that, connect back to our African roots. Even because, first off, Kwanzaa isn't made up. It was a riffing, similar to the way Christmas and all of this and all these other things is made up. The Swahili words, the celebration of a winter festival, all that stuff did already exist, but calling it Kwanzaa, which again is Swahili for like first fruits, that whole phrase, is African Americans' attempt to create something connecting them back to the motherland. You know, and not everybody celebrates Kwanzaa, but everybody knows about it, which I think is a good thing. And the more people that know about it, maybe we will start to see more Kwanzaa celebrations, aside from, you know, BET at midnight or whenever they do it or whatever. Right?
Less I say about BET, the better.
You know?
So,
go ahead. What were we about to say?
Nah, just what else you got?
So the question, are we celebrating Kwanzaa and at challenges, games, and comics? No. Because I'm gonna be in Houston with my sister celebrating Christmas, by probably buying her a bunch of stuff. The same way I talked about it before. So I take care of my sister, and she's very much spoiled. And so she's gonna ask me for something, and I only see her once a year, so I'm gonna get her whatever it is within reason that she wants. And then the rest of the time I'm there, we're probably, I don't know, I'll stock up her freezer with like seafood and meat from the butcher shop, and you know, do some other stuff like that. But you know, Mark said, I've yet to meet anyone who has celebrated Kwanzaa, and I think that's sad. I've only met one family that celebrated it, and when they did, when I was there and they celebrated, it did feel stilted. Mm-hmm. You know, because again, we're just as colonized as everybody else, and we grew up with Christmas. We grew up with wanting to have a piece of that American fantasy, because it wasn't a dream, it was a fantasy.
So I would say my youngest uncle did gather us together. I think it was like middle school, maybe my freshman year in high school, did gather us for like a couple of days to observe Kwanzaa. Definitely the first day and probably the second day, only because they fell on the weekend. So it was so like Christmas may have been a Friday or a Thursday, and then the first and second day of Kwanzaa is either that Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. And so we went back over there, you know, over to his place, and you know, lit the candles for the first 2 days. You know, he gave a speech about the first 2 days, and you know, kicked it, hung around cousins and whatnot for a couple of hours, and then we all dispersed.
Yeah.
But it's not Kwanzaa can be whatever it is you make it to be. It's kind of like, I look at it as akin to, how do you celebrate your birthday? However you feel comfortable celebrate your birthday. That's pretty much what Kwanzaa is. There's no set rules to say you have to do this. Yes, there is the lighting of the candles each of the 7 days of the celebration, but what you choose to do in observation of those principles for that day is up to you. It can be fellowshipping with family. It can just be watching a movie on the TV.
Yep. But as long as the goal is the proud, yes, there you go. The proud family celebrates Kwanzaa, and I think stuff like that, like the proud family, is important because it brings awareness to people that otherwise might not see it. I think they did Kwanzaa on Blackish a while back too. They may have had an episode. At least it may be
They mentioned it. I don't think they observed it because the tradition with them was to watch a Black movie on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Which, okay. And again, whatever your traditions are, I'm not yucking anybody's yum.
Oh, no. I'm just saying,
mention it. Yeah.
Yeah, they did at least mention it. I don't know if they actually did like a celebration.
Yeah. But I was thinking that they didn't on purpose because, Dre's mother, Jennifer Lewis, was wild and hardcore, white Jesus lover. So I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have been able. She would not have condoned that anyway. And so we've talked about Kwanzaa. We've talked about the mess that is Christmas. Stop buying stuff. Yeah. Just everybody sing happy birthday to Jesus and go back to bed. Like, why are we up at 6 a.m. to unwrap stuff that I spent all night wrapping just to have you not want it? You know what? Let's just eat breakfast and go back to sleep.
What I will say this, that once I got to high school, probably my sophomore year in high school. Yeah, the whole idea of getting up early and unwrapping presents kind of wore on me at that point because I didn't really care anymore. And my sister, who's 2 years younger than me, she would get hype and wake up and be like, yeah, I'll be down in a couple of hours. I'm enjoying this time of sleeping in. I don't have to be up. I don't have to do anything. I have to put on this uniform to go to school.
Right.
I am going to enjoy this sleep until my mom tells me I have to get out of bed.
Exactly that. Until I have to get up, And so we're pushing up on an hour. We may just call it right here with the recognizing that, Christmas doesn't have to be in your pocket. If you really love Jesus, just tell him directly, happy birthday, G, and then leave it. Come together, have dinner. Don't go all out, order from Popeyes. If you're in Houston, order from French's and get you some food. And then don't forget the New Year's Day celebrations too, since we're not going to be back before New Year's. So there are some, now these are all rooted in African traditions from different countries because we were so mixed up when we got here. But get you some collard greens or callaloo or spinach or something green to make sure you have money going into next year. Get you some black-eyed peas for luck and get you some meat, usually pork, but definitely meat for strength and fortitude going into the next year. So that's your New Year's Day meal, the usually ham or chicken or chitlins, but black-eyed peas and collard greens for sure.
The black-eyed peas and collard greens is an absolute definite.
Yes.
But that C word you said, no. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. No, we don't. We ain't got to do that. We don't have to. What's funny is like I was reading a tweet thread talking about how most indigenous cultures don't waste any part of the animal. They're using everything from the skin to the bone, and so they wouldn't have wasted chitlins or intestines or trout. There's a tripe. There's a lot of names for it, and a lot of cultures will eat pieces of it, but some of the sausage casings are pig intestines.
Yes.
Which is chitlins,
Mm-mm.
Not the same. It is the same thing.
It's not the same.
It's the same intestine.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's different intestines.
It's cleaned to hell and back. Is very definitely clean.
In my mind, it's not the same. Because chitlins is just unholy.
Put up this last comment about I'm free. I say no to chitlins. So this was the conversation that we were having on Threads, is that a whole lot of cultures that were never enslaved eat,
chitlins, yeah.
pig's feet, hog's head cheese, or, pig snout, pig tails, and chitlins, along with everything else, every other part of the animal, because to not eat a part of that animal that gave its life for you is wasteful, right?
Yes.
Use it for something. And so, but we've been shamed about chitlins. Now, granted, they stink and I wouldn't want to eat them, but there is a use for them, hence the sausage casings,
Yeah.
Boudin, which is very popular in Louisiana, uses pig intestines as sausage casing, and so when you clean it out that well and you get all of the internal cilia and all that other stuff, but that, yeah, so they had a choice to eat it and we didn't. We had a choice. We just ate it because the idea that it is taboo or nasty or yucky or whatever, that's some white people shit, right? Africans are like, this is perfectly good protein. Why would you throw this away? The same way Native Americans were about buffalo. They ate every part of that buffalo, used the skins as clothes, used the bones as tools and combs.
And the rooty to the tooty.
Yeah, rooted to the tutor. And this idea that, that part was, to be desecrated or whatever, that's something that just because white folks didn't want it, didn't mean that it was nasty. Now, yes, they gave us scraps, but that's why we made it work. That's why we knew how to cook it, because we had cooked it before, right? That's why we know how to cook all kinds of things, because we didn't use in it. And yes, you don't have to eat it now. Yeah, I get it. We understand. You can stop making these comments. You don't have to eat it. I'm just saying that we shouldn't shame people that do, because
those who like it, cool.
If you like it, that's great. I'm not going to eat it either. I don't like the way they smell, and but I also don't eat a whole lot of red meat and pork anyway. But the idea that you are showing elitism by wasting food is, again, one of the reasons that this supremacist structure is destined to fail, because it is wasteful. And I know you say you're not shaming anybody, but the comment like "I'm free, so I say no" implies that only slaves or people who are not free eat them. We got to be careful with our words.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, we're not shaming anybody. I don't eat them, but I have a couple of friends who are younger than me that love them. More power to you. But yeah, it is something that is widely eaten across multiple cultures. If you don't like them, I don't like them either. But I'm not going to hate on anybody that does. And I don't think that I think it's reductive to say it's slave food, because you can say that about collard greens, about hot water cornbread, about pig's feet, sweet potatoes, po' boy sandwiches, and shrimp and crawfish.
Yep.
All of these things are things that rich people didn't eat because it was beneath them. But we don't see nobody calling, gumbo slave food. But
what else is beneath the rich people?
What?
Spices and herbs.
Right.
Flavor.
Right. You put enough garlic and celery and peppers on something, it's gonna be good, right? You can turn anything into a, matter of fact, I find it so crazy that they now are trying to colonize collard greens. No. And I saw them for sale in Trader Joe's.
But Trader Joe's has had collard greens before.
No, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the produce aisle. I'm talking about frozen pre-packed collard greens.
No.
Yes.
Okay, I can live with glory greens in a can.
Yeah. I don't mind glory greens. I've been doing that for years. But yeah, Trader Joe's had like fresh frozen collard greens ready to like heat and eat. And I'm like, that's not how you do
it's really
collard greens. You could do that with spinach, because you can just throw a little butter and garlic on spinach and be good. But collard greens need some attention.
Yes.
Yeah. Brothy rice. Yeah. Everybody has their version of that. Whether it's egusi soup or gumbo or kimchi jjigae or pho. Pho is with noodles, but still it's broth. A whole matter of fact, the reason that Americans and to the greater extent Europeans are gaining weight is because of our love affair with wheat flour and the over processing of it, specifically in the United States. They can eat pasta all day in Italy and not get fat because the way they make it is different. The way we make it here is for massive consumption and waste and high consumerism. So the way we make it breeds gluten. Well, not breeds, but it makes the process yield gluten in a way that other processes don't. We make it 20 times faster than that other process. But do we really need this much macaroni? I don't think so.
It's good though.
It was just as good if you don't make it that way.
I understand. Trust. I do.
Right.
I do.
Right. But people like, what is the secret to like Korean beauty standards and their skin is flawless and the Japanese are so thin and blah blah blah. They eat soup and they walk
a lot.
Right. You do not need some fitness expert to tell you that. They eat soup and they walk uphill both ways in the snow.
Hell, I'm in the office this week. I'm doing enough walking.
Exactly. Look, I ran some errands yesterday. My Oura ring was like, you've walked enough. You've met your goal for the day. But yeah, I'm planning a trip to Korea next year. And it was one of the things that they talked about in the little guide that I was reading online. I was listening to this girl talk and she said, if someone tells you that it is not far, ask them specifically how far it is, because it's probably 2 miles away. And they see no problem walking an hour, to get somewhere. People walk to work, it'd be 30 minutes. Y'all wish I would. I'm sitting here like, if I can't see it from my house, I'm not oh man. But anyway, so you planning to go home to where you're from? I don't want to, give too much of your information away.
No. I've already had this discussion with my mom before Thanksgiving because of what was happening then with airlines. I know things have pretty much tapered off, but at the time there was like flight reductions for the day being, down 30% and possible chance of a plane getting canceled. They would try to at least let you know 24 hours before your flight. I didn't want to have the situation of me trying to go up there, my flight canceled, or me trying to come back and my flight canceled. Yeah. So it's like, I will catch y'all next year.
Yeah. Things calm down, hopefully. Okay. Yeah. I'm going home to Houston just for like Tuesday to Saturday. And then I'm back. And then we're doing girls' night for New Year's. But I'm going to remind myself that we need black eyed peas and collard greens along with whatever. To have our New Year's Day feast. But for everybody out there, I may have offended you with some of the things I said about Christmas. Good luck with that. Look it all up.
Deal with it.
Look up everything that we said tonight and see if it isn't true. Look up missionary style. Look up pagan religion. Look up Saturnalia.
Definitely look up Saturnalia.
Yeah, look up Yuletide and Saint Nicholas, who was a saint of children and the poor and prostitutes, similar to Jesus. Look up all of that and see where they have been trying to gaslight you into proving your love to Jesus by buying a bunch of shit. That doesn't make any sense. Right? Stop buying stuff is the message of today's story. Stop.
But I have to buy myself a Christmas present.
No, you don't.
I mean, I do.
You want to buy yourself a Christmas present?
No, I have to buy myself a Christmas present to show how much that I appreciate me.
Okay. Hey, Robin. Got my spell house people in the house.
What's up, Miss Grant? How you doing?
Nice picture. Love Jesus now for the low price of $49.99 and paid in installments. You can show Jesus your love. That is the Christian church.
Oh my gosh, it is.
We didn't even talk about. Well, didn't some pastor lock the doors until everybody had given?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
happening. A shakedown.
It is a shakedown.
Yo,
midnight mass.
That's why I don't go. Well, it's one of the reasons I don't go. Please understand, if you lock this door, I'm shooting through this door. I'm biting people till I get out.
First of all, I did not agree to be locked in.
Yeah, exactly. You can't make.
So you holding me against my will.
Right. This is kidnapping at this point. can't make me give you my money. Yes, and it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. And now I understand why, because rich people be on some nonsense. Rich people have too much money. You know, if you watched, and if you were on this channel, you probably have watched it, Altered Carbon on Netflix, where rich people eventually just became immortal because they kept moving their consciousness in a like solid state material from one recycled body to the next, hence the altered carbon. They just go to the next body. And when you become immortal, you get bored and you've seen and done everything. And the depravity that you get into knows no bounds because you are unstoppable and you got literally more money than God, right? And I have a friend that has moved in some of those like really, really like 1%er circles before. And the haunted look in his eyes when he was like, Joy, yo, you would believe some of the stuff they be getting up to, yo. Like he was shook. Years later, he was still like haunted. So yeah, rich people not going to heaven. Not in there. But anyway, this has been fun. I hope you all have learned or at least been challenged on some of your thoughts and beliefs. Continue to practice Carnival because I have every intention of going to one again because I've been to one before. It's a great celebration. Dig into your personal roots. You know, figure out what your ethnic celebrations are for this winter solstice, celebrating the return to longer spring days coming soon, you know.
Or as I like to borrow from the Seinfeld show, which I've never seen, the Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us, right? Happy Christmas, Mahana Kwanzaa. And go forth and be true to yourself. Figure out what you want to do. But stop buying stuff.
But Legos.
Fine. I'm not gonna argue with you about these doggone Legos, boy.
The first step is admitting you have a problem. I can admit that there is no problem that I have buying Legos. I just like Legos.
Go ahead.
I will.
So y'all, thank y'all for joining us tonight. We'll be back at the end of January with our next episode. And we haven't figured out what we're gonna do yet, but it'll be fun and it'll be after dark. So we will see y'all next time. This has been Moana Nui After Dark presents THIStory, Hidden History, Christmas Kwanzaa edition.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii in a perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Network out for all the locals, school will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. We will.